This is one of the most famous music venues in the world. The Sydney Opera House sure does look spectacular, but what goes on behind the scenes to make sure it sounds just as spectacular? I'm meeting with Lou Rusicki in the main concert hall to get the highs and lows on the design and acoustics of this famous venue. So Lou, you've been making theatre in the Sydney Opera House for over 20 years. Can you tell me, it's the shape of the sails, does it have anything to do with the sound in here?
No, we're actually two separate structures. We've got the magnificent sails on top and then the concert hall sits inside.
As I'm talking, I can hear the sound travelling away from me. What's making that happen?
Well, what you're actually hearing in the hall is the sound coming back to you. Force coming out from your voice. And then it hits the reflective surfaces and comes back.
So what are those donut-shaped things hanging above us? What do they do?
They are our reflective ceilings. So when we have the orchestra in, they come down low and they're set in a way so the music comes up, it reverberates back down and out into the hall, rather than just going up and bouncing around in the roof.
What does reverberate mean?
So reverberate is the time that it takes the music or the sound to leave the string or the horn, travel out through the room, hit the surface and come back to you.
So when the concert hall is full of people, does that affect the sound?
Oh, absolutely it does. So when we have a big concert, that's a lot more absorption in the room. And so it's great for the orchestra. It gives the tone and their performance a lot more definition. So much for the hall is made up of fantastic white birch and brush box that it gives us all the characteristics we need for the orchestra. But whenever we have our rock bands come in, we put a lot of black wool and red velour into the room.
Sounds sweet. I might even try a little sing-song in here now. You know what? I might even sound good in here, right?
Oh, well, we can't perform miracles.
Oh, well, do you want to sing a duet with me?
No, I don't think so.
La, la, la. Oh, la, mi, 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 mi. La, 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 la.
Big, small, floppy or upturned, our ears make it possible for us to hear sound. But they do hog a lot of the attention, and we've got a lot of other body parts to thank for being able to hear noises, especially beautiful noises like music. What if I told you that when we hear things, it's not actually the sound that we're hearing? It sounds crazy, but it's true. The inside of our ears is so small that we can't see what happens when we listen to sound without special instruments. But we're going to build a very simple model of the ear so that we can see what happens today. So if you want to make an eardrum at home, you're going to need a few things. I've got a springform cake tin with the bottom taken out of it. If you don't have one of these, you can use a large mixing bowl, sticky tape, piece of card, scissors, drinking straws, ping pong balls, a couple of bowls, cling wrap, a rubber band, some coloured sprinkles, a jug of water, and a few things to make some loud noises with. So the first thing we're going to do is cover this cake tin with cling film. And this is to make the eardrum. So the eardrum is the first part of the ear that the sound hits. It gets caught by our outer ear, which is the floppy part, and the sound gets guided down the ear canal where it hits the eardrum and causes the eardrum to vibrate. So now I've got this rubber band on. I'm just going to pull the cling wrap nice and tight so that the sound can get caught by this membrane over the cake tin. So let's see what happens when we play some music under our eardrum. Now we can't see sound travel, but we might be able to see our eardrum move if we use these sprinkles. So I'm scattering the sprinkles on top of our eardrum. I'll spread them out, and now I'm going to play some music at it. So I'll spread these sprinkles around, and now I'm going to play some music at it. So you can see that the music from the phone is causing the cling film to vibrate, just like our eardrum does when it receives sound waves. And this vibration we're able to see because the sprinkles are jumping up and down like they're having their own little party. That's our eardrum. Now let's build the rest of the inner ear. Take the sprinkles off the eardrum, just so that it's cleaner, and take one of these bowls. Place the eardrum on its side so that the drum is facing to one side of you. Now we're going to need some card and some scissors. We're going to cut a small triangle off it. I'm going to take one of these drinking straws and attach this small piece of cardboard to the end of the drinking straw. And attach all of this directly onto the cling wrap with a small piece of sticky tape. So now we have these tiny little cardboard bones that are connected to this drinking straw, which is like the inner ear in us. And this transmits the sound from the eardrum all the way in to the deepest part of our ear. I'm going to take a ping pong ball. Mine's already got a hole in it, and you might need an adult to help you with that. And I'm just going to push the drinking straw into the hole. Place this drinking straw with a ping pong ball on the end into your clear bowl. This bowl then needs to be filled up with water, making sure that it's filled right to the top. All right, that's our ear. Let's play some music and see what happens. So the sound comes into our ear and hits our eardrum, where it causes the eardrum to vibrate. These vibrations are collected by the tiny bones on the other side of the eardrum, and they're transmitted through this fluid-filled tube in our inner ear, or in this case, the drinking straw. The vibrations travel down this tube and are picked up by tiny hair cells that move back and forth in the liquid with the vibrations, just like seaweed in the ocean. And we can see these vibrations now as ripples in this bowl of water. And that is how we can listen to our favorite songs. So I'm just going to kick back now and listen to some of my favorite tunes.
What does this sound like? Close your eyes and guess again. If you thought a small dog or a bird walking across the path, you guessed it. But all it is paper clips on the end of gardening gloves. Keep watching, because throughout the episode, I'm going to create a few more weird and wonderful sounds to create something pretty special at the end. Oh, I get no reception in here. I desperately need to tell my friend something. I mean, I could walk over there, but it's so far away. My legs are really tired. Luckily though, I know how to make a device to communicate with, made from materials around the house. All you need is 2 paper cups, 2 paper clips, a toothpick, and a length of string. Hello? Oh, that was weird. So the first step is to turn your cups over and pierce a hole right in the middle of the base using your toothpick. Then make the hole a little bit wider so your string can fit through. Now picking up one end of your string, thread it through the cup. And then tie it onto a paper clip. This will stop the string from pulling out when you use your phone. And repeat with the other cup. Done! Well, it doesn't look like a traditional phone, but I think it looks good all the same. Now that I've constructed this technological masterpiece, it's time to test it out. Oh, Nathan! He probably can't hear me because I'm not using my paper cut phone, so I'll be back in a tick. I'm going to get him. Okay, Nate, here you go.
Cool.
Jump out the door.
Thank you. Hello.
Can you hear me?
Hello, Jackie.
It works! Oh my gosh, it's actually working. I can hear him really loud.
That's right.
Okay, don't yell. Don't yell, Nathan. Whisper.
Sorry.
Let's see how quiet you can get. Okay, guess what word I'm saying?
Mouse?
Yeah, mouse, that's it. Okay, let's see what happens when it goes slack. Hey, Nathan, can you still hear me?
I can't hear you as well.
Okay, Nathan, send me a secret message.
Hey, Jackie, did you bring chocolate to work today?
See, I can still hear him, but not as well. I had to really concentrate. But no, Nathan, I didn't bring you any chocolate. So let's go back to pulling it tight and talking, but this time I'm going to put my finger on the twine and pinch it to see if that makes a difference. Hey, Nathan, can you hear me?
Jackie, you saying anything? I can't hear you.
Couldn't hear anything. Interesting. Hello, testing. Can you hear me? We found when we were testing it that the cord had to be pulled pretty tight for us to hear each other properly. This is because sound travels by vibrating molecules. In the air, the molecules are spaced out, and that's why the sound can only get so far, because it runs out of energy. The molecules of the string are packed together much more tightly, which means the sound can travel a lot further. Pulling the string tight lets the sound vibrations travel in a straight line. But if it goes slack or wobbly, the vibrations get lost on their way to the other person's ear. When I pinched the string, I stopped the vibrations. I couldn't hear him at all. Look, I won't be making any international phone calls anytime soon, but this will be very handy when someone is just out of earshot. Nathan, do you copy?
Voila!
Please bring me food.
Oh, this is so embarrassing. You just caught me mid-rehearsal for my one-man band, Vace Vace and Vace. And boy, if I do say so myself, I sound really good. I'm after a different sound though, something a little bit softer. So far, my sound is jazz gypsy punk with a dash of rock. But I want to show my more sensitive side. Irish folk hip-hop with a touch of karaoke. Genius! That's it! I'm going to make a flute out of a straw. This is going to be epic. Gold record, here I come. To make my instrument, all I'll need are a pair of scissors and a straw. Our first step is to flatten the end of our straw. This is going to be really important to make the sound. When you're done with that, grab your scissors and cut the end to a point. Make sure you have an adult around to help you. To make the sound, put the pointy end in your mouth and blow really hard. Make sure that the end doesn't touch your tongue or your teeth. It may take some practice. When you blow really hard, you will get the tips vibrating. Let's give that a go. That's amazing. That sounds absolutely genius. Let's try that again. When you blow into the straw, it sends a wave of air through and the vibrations bounce backwards and forwards between the two cut ends, making beautiful music. Look what happens when I make the straw a bit shorter. The pitch changes. This is because there's a shorter distance for the vibrations to travel through the straw. The shorter the straw, the higher the sound. The longer the straw, the deeper the sound. They all sound so different. I wonder what would happen if I got a bunch of different straws of different lengths to create one big super flute. There you have it. A new instrument and a new sound for my band. I can't wait to hear what my fans think. That's incredible! I sound absolutely amazing. Vace 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 World Tour coming soon.
Alrighty, here is our third and final sound before I give away exactly what I'm up to. You know the drill, close those eyes. Now imagine you're at school and you forgot your homework and you think you've gotten away with it until your teacher calls out your name up in front of the class. What sound do you think I'm making? It's your heart pounding, and I'm only using this t-shirt. Alrighty, it's time for me to show you what I've been teasing you about all episode. You've seen me recreate the sound of a dog running across concrete. And then I frightened you with the thunder drum. Oh, thunder! And finally, I got your heart racing with a t-shirt heartbeat. So why am I doing all of this? Because I'm introducing you to the art of Foley. Foley is the sound effects added to a film, video game, or any other media after filming is finished. The sound effects are actually created by hand, feet, and all other bits and pieces in a sound studio, not by a computer. Foley artists are basically storytellers with sound. They can create and intensify any mood with the sounds they've created. Almost every American film you've ever seen has a Foley artist, and I'm about to become one. I'm up for the Foley challenge. Check out this scene of me walking through the Botanic Gardens. Focus on what you're hearing and thinking while you watch it. It just seems like an ordinary day. I'm not showing any particular emotion. Oh, I seem a little frightened here. Ah, and a happy ending. Yay! Pretty standard day, right? Well, let me have a crack at retelling the story through Foley. Okay, so I have some really random bits and bobs in this box, but once you hold them up to a microphone, they sound pretty special. So what have we have? Got a newspaper, but when you hold it up to the microphone, it sounds like a rustling bush. And here's a feather duster, which is good for birds' wings flapping. Oh, here we go. Pair of scissors. Try and guess what this is. A clock ticking. Okay, now I'm going to play that scene back and try and time my sound effects to go with the action. Now I've finished recording all my sounds. I have got Andy, my friend here, who's going to help me mix it all together. Now basically what that means is we're going to layer some of the sounds, make some louder and some softer, and add them to my scene. Let's do it.
Okay, all done.
Awesome, well let's play it back with my scene. Woo, I'm so excited. Impressed myself. It's not bad for a bit of amateur Foley artistry. Do you remember back to the first clip and how you felt? I kind of felt nothing. I wasn't scared or relieved. Then, when you watch the second clip with the added Foley, I was totally terrified and nervous and frightened, and then relieved. Sound is often an understated part of film and TV, but without Foley artists, sound recorders, and sound mixers, the entertaining biz would be a lot less entertaining.